camel thing with, does it with the water jet. They're gonna bring that up, and we're gonna try and run it in up here at the north end and see what we get done with it. I don't think, there's no way that we could get the tile line, there's just too much water over it, but maybe we can open that up. I think the eventual, and maybe even the soon eventual, would be to replace it with a bypass line.
That's just gonna ask you, what's on either side of that
This-
housing development and?
This,
That's
we
all
got-
open.
We got
Okay.
clean going out
Yeah,
there.
just trees.
Just trees, and they're all over there, and I'm not sure. I was gonna get together later on this week with a contractor and talk to him. I think it's beyond what we wanna mess with, and we might wanna set a manhole in at this junction for this line that goes this way. The takeoff off the map, nothing wrong with the takeoff. I think they did a good job taking it off. It's just not where the map said it was. It's kind of over, which is good, because we think it runs under the green bins here, and if the whole thing is shifted east, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Dean thinks that case.
I think that's the case.
So I think we'll see how we do with the tile jetting on that first, if that's okay. The city's gonna bring that, you know what I mean, that sewer
Mhm.
jetter thing, that big camel thing they got, and they can sit on the road right here and get in the tile, and it appears that the tile is kinda open here. It's not backing up and pushing out the holes when they excavate it, so maybe they can bust something loose. I'm thinking maybe there's debris that's hung up on the tree roots. We've got some-
But about where that circle is, there's a manhole, right, Dave? Or is it
Yeah.
back here
It's-
towards that trail?
It's back here, either side of that trail. One side is a manhole to take this line in to it. And
Right.
then the manhole comes out of it. They ran the locator up, and I think they got up to this pine tree right here with the locator, and they were getting hung up by the tree roots, and they quit. So then they started digging, and they dug multiple holes there and found the same thing in each
Size
But,
hole.
is-
but in that manhole, that water's up
Yeah.
almost to the top, yeah, so you know that the water's being restricted.
Yeah, and that's funny, it's restricting the farmer clear up at the upper end of the thing.
Yeah,
That's
back
where-
up here.
Where we're noticing it,
Yeah.
and,
What size tile is in there, Dave?
well, this is a 15 through there. I got a feeling we've got, multiple issues like usual, but I guess we've gotta find a place to start, and this is kind of the main here, and we can get this straightened away, and
So what did you say that your remedy was for that again?
the remedy
The
for it.
quick remedy now.
Quick remedy, and just replace it.
And then replace it.
Yeah.
Completely.
Completely,
Just
yeah.
go alongside and redo it.
I was gonna talk to Bruce and see if we could get together and we could kind of co-engineer the thing, since it'd be good to have another manhole in there someplace so we can access it. And then we've got kind of a poor connection here with this line that goes off up into Toynes. We could maybe firm that up, and then we'd have a place to examine, kind of like we have with Drain 89 and
Yeah.
a few other, examine the tile and see how it's working and get into it if you need to get into it.
So you're saying go up, actually up into here and replace it?
No.
As well, or just
Well,
up there?
At some point, maybe, yeah. Maybe look up in here, but at least just get this going,
Get
see
that
how
going
it
there.
goes.
Okay.
Uh,
So you're gonna put it right next to it then?
Yeah, maybe down in that waterway, I don't
Okay,
know. It's
yeah.
pretty deep up here. They were getting 7 feet deep. So, and there's an old dump in there. They found a lot of
Yeah.
remnants of that when they were digging up bottles and whatnot, so it's just really.
We talked about that.
I'm glad you told me about that, because I knew the answer why all that debris was there. Oh, that's a dump there.
When the city parks their machine there and puts their rooter, or whatever you call it, what's the distance? How far can they reach?
I don't know. I think they could go, several hundred feet if things are good, but they've got to go around a corner. There's a 10-inch line that either comes in on the other side of the road or comes in here, and, that could be a detour that they don't want to take, but that cutter could take it. I'm just hoping it can make it in around the corner and find what that secondary block is up in
Okay.
here, and maybe loosen that up and get some semblance of drainage. Yeah, I don't think there'd be any way with the water as high as it is right now.
And right along, this is the soft rail trail, right here. And then along the soft rail trail, there's also trees.
Yeah, yeah.
Could be
there's-
causing problems as well.
There's some great big old cottonwoods in
Yeah.
there.
Is there a contractor available to do that project?
Yeah,
Do you think?
I think,
I mean, do you think, what, waste the money and the time messing with it and just having him come in and just start putting it in?
the installation?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
start on it right away
I
and
think
don't even mess with the rest.
Leroy and Sons, they've done several drainage districts, and they know the drill, and they're about the only one around here that bid on it. I'm not sure if anybody would be interested in it, but I asked him about it, and he said maybe in a couple of weeks he'd be free. So,
I guess if
He'd
you wanna
be the
run the
guy I
jet
would
through
get
it, you
together
can,
with.
but just seems like throwing money and then we're gonna replace it again anyway, so why don't we just jump right straight to a replacement and save the money on it and
yeah.
keep moving
I
forward?
think the only reason we try and go through here with the jet.
Some
and get
temporary
as
relief.
long as we had it up there, and it's not gonna cost very much to do that, I
Okay.
don't think.
Get some
It might-
relief so you can do some work.
Yeah.
Get some relief so that maybe he can plant his crop up here.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably the big reason, I guess.
It's running maybe that much in a 16-inch tile now. You could actually hear the water running in the intakes in the road ditch, and see it.
I think the problem with your idea, Rich, and it is the correct way to go, is just a matter of timing.
Okay.
I doubt we could get a contractor in there to get it fixed quickly. Otherwise,
Yeah.
would be the best way to go.
Yeah, if you could get him in tomorrow.
I think that's gonna be the eventuality, but I think we would be well off to try this, because it's not gonna cost us very much money.
Okay.
And you gotta talk to the city first.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Have to get their buy-in on that too as well, I'm sure.
The other issue down the road is gonna be the trees. We're fighting this thing constantly. It's gonna be
Yeah,
really
you're gonna have to put a
trees.
solid tile in there.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking, to put a solid, smooth wall, plastic tile.
But is there need for drainage in that area?
Is there need
Well,
for
there
drainage?
is.
Right in that area?
Well, there is, but I don't know if the county should be responsible for that, I guess.
No,
That's
I-
the city's.
There's a waterway that runs along there, kind of a deep waterway, almost like an agricultural waterway, and there's no trees in it. It takes a surface runoff. So I don't know that they've got small tiles tied to this 15-inch.
Okay.
I think more than likely, we would probably leave that old one intact if we could, to just let it pick up
What
any
it
of those
can.
things.
Yeah,
And,
let it pick up that stuff in the park and,
Either that or put an intake in it in a low point and use it as a surface outlet, and it could be a relief well when the thing, if we have problems.
Mhm.
then tie them together back up in here then, by the road.
Yeah, the contractor I was talking to was talking about, I think up in Hamilton County, they laid a relief main right next to the original main, and then actually tied over and made grafts over. Now, I don't think we're gonna wanna do that a whole lot where the trees are, but they left that one in place and then tied it together at the end too, so it could continue to drain.
Is your proposed manhole at a location where you could put a inlet and kind of do it both together?
There is one, where what Dean was just talking about, there is one already there, and there's an existing manhole. I was thinking more to clean up this connection here, because this is a pretty poor Y here, and really Ys on big tiles, unless things line up pretty good, or a manhole or some sort of pit is a better thing to have, because
I've seen where they put, it's basically a drain
Mhm.
or tile connect, and it's a small manhole.
Yeah,
basically.
and it could
So
be that, it could have a
both
beehive on top of it.
It's both an intake and a manhole combined, so
Mhm.
something to think about if it's in the
Yeah.
right spot.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem, and it isn't gonna go away. but
No.
I like your recommendation.
It's kind of a big problem too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna be an expensive one. I could get an idea once I talk to him, but we'll try and engineer it and see what we can come up with price-wise. We could go to 50,000 without a bid. I think that'd probably be the way to go.
What's the drain number there?
Drain number 70.
70.
Drain 54, that one that you were talking about, this contractor went over and dug that one right up the next day, found out it was tree roots in there where that bulkhead was, and he replaced 200 foot of tile, and it's got it working already. So that's a done deal. Haven't got the bill for it yet, but that was
They get
not
to-
not a shallow tile like we presumed at the
Tell
time.
you get to drain 66 yet?
No. No, had a quicksand drain we worked on last week, and we're kind of behind on the drainage stuff. It seems like a lot of the same thing is happening, especially with the tree roots.
So it'll slow down.
This makes number 5, I think, yeah. And they were all in the 12 to 15, or 12 to 18 inch range,
Yeah.
all large size tile. So we'll just kind of keep pushing ahead, that's what we're gonna try and do next week. Is, like you said, we got other brush fires that we can need to put out, smaller ones
Yeah.
with our crew, and hopefully we can let this go, but I know he won't be ready for at least 2 weeks to do it.
Okay.
I'll report back. We will spend some money with the city, I don't think it'll be big money, but.
Yeah, he can do that after the crops are planted.
Yeah, that's loosening up a little bit now, I'm sure already.
Yeah, I'll bet that drainage that was running over the ground had stopped the other day. Of course, if we get some rain on Wednesday's the day we're proposing to go up there, we're not free today, they're not free tomorrow, and Wednesday's their first day they're free. The city is.
80% chance of rain.
80% chance of rain, yeah. We'll have some time to.
It's a
flush
paved
those.
road, you can stand on the road.
Yeah, that's what Randy said, it was.
Just need a longer shovel handle.
The road would be, we can
Shut
stop
that
go
lightning
during
rod
any
in
sort of
there.
weather.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll work out.
I think we found a volunteer to handle the lightning rod. Right here. You handle it.
Tile probe.
So is it okay if we do that with the city? And I think we've talked about this for 2 weeks now, probably make it 3 or 4 before it's all dead and done.
Do you want approval on the rest too then, or right away?
No, as long as you guys are comfortable. I think we played drain 70 down last week, didn't we?
That's the one that was private.
Yeah, it was
Private.
listed in-
Yeah, it was listed last week.
Yeah.
Then we don't need to do it.
I think 54 is where the private contractor probably was.
Okay.
Well, then we don't need to do it. You got that approval. Okay. Continue on, Dave.
Okay, that's the end of that. Drainage assessments.
With the problems comes money. With the problems comes money.
Yeah.
Seems like they follow each other pretty tight.
Surprisingly, about normal with that. So some of them are maybe a little bigger. Some of them I didn't put in. Drain 15 is the first one I got on there. That's tree roots there. That was the one we did by Ralph Bach Jr.'s in the road. And drain 18,
That's what we looked at last week.
yeah, and that was also tree roots. That was a 15-inch tile. That was the one they did in the water. We showed pictures of. Drain 25 and 26. One of those is Litterdale that we don't need an assessment on. 25, I'm not recalling what that was, but I put a $2,000 sum in there because we only have $193 in there. We're going to do some work on that. Drain 29. Which is Glidden, doesn't take much of a percentage to get money there because there's, even though it's a low volume, they got, what is the assessment, is it $5 or is it $10?
$5 was city.
And, drain 33, we got a bill of $842, or drain 31, excuse me, drain 33, got an estimated bill of $3,000. I can't tell you what that is, I didn't write it down. Drain 45 in Jasper, there's a bill there, but there's plenty of money in the drain to do it. Drain 47, there's estimated bill of $500 there. There's still enough money in there to do that. Drain 50, don't have a bill on it yet, but that's $4,000 estimate for that one. Let's see here, drain 54 was the one that we just talked about that the contractor fixed, estimated bill to be $5,000 on that one. Drain 66, we've got several bills on that one coming up. There's one that we already have. There's one to put in about 400 to 600 foot of 15-inch tile that we'll have the contractor do. And then there's a repair that needs to be done in Richland Pit. That should be a relatively small one. Drain 70, the one with the tree roots. There's $2,500 in there now. I didn't feel I could guess good enough to do an assessment now. We'll just have to figure out a way to pay that bill and assess for it later when we know more of what it is. Drain 77, we've got some tree cleanup to do in there. We've still got a couple $1,000s in there. That's a big drain. That's a lot of paper anyway. Is it any more work for you to do that? It is, right? With
The
all
bigger
those
the drain, the
assessments.
more it takes,
The more
yeah.
it takes. So just held off on that one for the meantime here.
I already have drain 23, so.
Oh, gosh. Drain 90, Richland, I think that's that one that George Johnson fixed. Got a bill for that for $3,056. And, drain 105, we've got a bill for $1,625, and I can't recall which one that one is either.
Yeah, that was probably out there. Prudence's. Guessing.
More than likely been. The assessments are in yellow, and it shows the estimated balance at the end. This seems to work pretty well. It's in the ballpark anyway. Try not to make too big of an assessment unless we're anticipating something.
Certainly concurs with your statement that the drains have been busy.
Yeah.
See where all the money's went.
As the drains get older, it's gonna take more work.
This is really, it's almost like a wake-up call, really, and I'm not really sure what to do. And there's some things that we all probably know about, some existing conditions that probably should be dealt with, but it's,
Was kind of happy with drain 18 that you and Marty and I went on. I think the farmer was very willing to accept a long-term answer there of putting in a grass waterway, keeping, because it's so shallow, of keeping the machinery off of it. I think he was quite willing to work with us on that. I was happy to see that.
yeah.
That's a lot of the issue with a lot of these older drains are the old clay tile yet. And they're just getting to the point, some of those were put in the early 1900s. I mean, they're over 100 years old.
You know, your drain, it showed at 2.5 feet, and it was still pretty close.
Pretty
It was
close to
over
that,
2,
yeah.
but I don't know if it was
Yeah.
quite 2.5, but it was
Yeah.
pretty close. But you could, you know,
Yeah.
those size of machinery anymore, the tire tracks are this wide, and that little tile, it don't take long to crush it, especially when it's 100 years old.
You know, as much as we've been doing, I'm surprised there ain't more drains you gotta do assessment.
I am too. I think it's kind of been more big ones rather than a lot of little ones. It's been more big ones, and it just, I don't know what it is with the tree roots, but most I ever remember of that. We're gonna take that, city machine over to Litterdale. We're investigating that one, and we've kinda looked. I think that's 26, but anyway, we'll take that over there.
Mhm.
That's a small tile, and that jet might work real good. Randy doubted whether with the 15-inch tile, just how great it would work, because it's a pretty big tile. But a small tile, it should clean it out pretty good. Boy, there's just loads of trees over there, it's gotta be the problem.
Any questions on the assessments?
I just have one, and this doesn't have anything to refer to what we're talking about, but last year, Scott Lenz and Dick Werneman asked me about Drain 24, because they didn't know what it was. And remember, Courtney, we talked about that? You looked that up. And it was, they assessed that original amount to do a drain in 1985, and they haven't touched it since then. So if you haven't touched it in 30 years, you got $900 there. I mean, can Drain 23 use those dollars somewhere else? Because of the assessment of the taxpayer, correct? Yeah.
It's gotta stay in that.
It's gotta stay in that drain.
There might have been a little bit of something.
It's only one person.
Give him his money back.
And I don't think it's the original person.
Oh, really?
It's good thinking,
So-
though, that's using your head, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that money's gonna be there for a long, long time.
So when he bought in the land in the drainage district, he bought the drainage district,
Yeah, because it's not very big.
asset or liability, whatever.
Because there was a problem, and they repaired, they ran a tile, and they fixed the problem.
Made it a drainage
Mhm.
district.
Yeah.
It's quite an asset to his piece of property, though. It's always there,
Yeah,
and their money will be there, so no.
well, true.
Or
I mean, you
would
can
there-
always use it.
Or would there be a way to convert it back to a private drain instead of county drain?
I would think the owner could dissolve the drainage district and
Take his money.
recoup.
Recoup the money? I
Yeah.
mean, that's a possibility.
There's been a number of them that have been dissolved. You got a deed on
That's,
them.
Careful what you ask for.
that's that person's responsibility to do that.
After that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think there'd be about 100 of them.
That sounds good.
I mean, it was just a question that I
takes away
had.
your job security, you know.
It's not something I would discourage.
Just kidding.
No, let's not go there. That's like the unsolvable problem that we talked about. How are you gonna replace all these?
Yeah. Got it.
On the other side, you could have a situation where maybe, I don't even know what you're talking about, where if they would sell the parcel out, off of it, they would wish it was in a drainage district, because then if an issue came up.
So it's probably just best to leave it just as it is, but, and at some point in time, it may crop up where there could be an issue.
Yeah.
I don't know why they've dissolved the ones that they've dissolved, but I would assume because of inactivity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because there's some that you just never hear about.
Well, and that's the way it is with this one, I think it's probably in pretty good shape yet, because it was just put in 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's doing its job, and,
Yes, the aging is coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
All right, any
That's
other
okay.
questions on the assessments? We need a motion to approve the assessments as proposed by Dave.
So move.
Oh, second it.
Then moved and second to approve the assessments on the drains as proposed by Dave. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, Dave?
Got a utility permit down on 320th Street, just right off Highway 141. It's on some ground that John Judson owns. I think there might be someone else buying a portion of that property, but Mid-American is going to run a high voltage line in there, crossing 320th Street to begin with. They're bringing it from the north side to the south side, and then they're running it east about 1,700 feet and boring underneath the creek to provide service to 24,830 320th Street in Dedham. There's, I can't tell you who the new owner is. there's a map on the back, kind of shows pretty well where they're going, and then there's a more formal one that doesn't show it nearly as well as the one on the back.
So Pleasant Valley.
Be Newton Township.
No, wait, sorry. Okay.
It sure looks like it.
It's got a black over in. Yeah. A big red blob over basically.
Is it what?
Yeah.
It sounds Stephanie, because you're kinda nasty. Well, I'm not gonna get any mowing done.
Done yourself.
Mm-hmm.
My mower's been in the shop anyway, so the grass is now, instead of
You have
this.
to bail it?
You want me to buy you a goat and Denison Saturday?
No,
Price
I
is
just
up
did.
a little bit, really, so
The price on goats?
Oh, yeah.
And they're noting that
250, 300
it doesn't look like, it looks like it's drained okay, but it's kind of ponding there a little bit. And it's kind of seeping up the other side of the road, so that's what makes the road spotty. You can't tell driving. So it's not a high priority by any means, but
Oh, that's nice.
you can look it over.
Any questions on the utility permit? Otherwise, we're in order for a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second it?
Been moved and seconded to approve the utility permit. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Road discussion, I just got a little update. The one on Birch to the north and west of Breda, that box culvert is an 18/11. They finished that Friday, at least finished the install. Our guys are hauling some dirt up there this morning, and they're working on that one, so that one should be open. They're gonna move next to that Sawyer culvert, north and east of Glidden, and will be held up on the Bach culvert to the south there, at least till the 19th, so they can get that optic fiber out of the way, so that should work out pretty good. They'll do that Sawyer one next, and then they'll go to the Bach one. They're also gonna start working on the pad at the Arcadia shed today, and so that'll be getting underway. Haven't heard any more from the asphalters, other than they're still talking around June 1st to start that work. Other than that, back to the drains. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Buy you a scuba suit.
Chest waders.
I don't know.
Chest
Some of them, I don't know, chest waders, they have a couple of them.
People are offering to loan those to other guys that work for the county, but they're okay with not borrowing them.
I can imagine.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, next we have is an inter-fund transfer.
This will move $1,000 from the general fund in the environmental health department to the environmental health capital fund. I use that for vehicle purchases. I don't believe there's a vehicle being purchased at this time, but this is the money that she budgeted to move in there to set aside for the future.
Okay, any questions on that?
Nope, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution for inter-fund transfers. Roll call?
Miners?
Yes.
Ruggles?
Yes.
Shetler?
Yes.
Hawk?
Yes.
Danzer?
Yes.
Motion carries. Pass that around.
Okay, Gary?
Morning, Carrie.
Good morning.
Morning, Gary.
Thank you for the other thing. Wasn't sure how that was timed out.
Sure.
Perfect.
Where did that?
Guy's got the
Well,
memo.
sort of.
You got the memo.
I called her.
Yeah, did you?
Where today? We might look into a new vehicle for next fiscal year. I'll just throw that out.
At that time, you'd probably have a pickup available then, is that correct?
Who?
You? Is it the pickup that you want to get rid of, or?
Yeah, well, the Patriot is, we just got that a couple of
Right,
years ago.
right.
So the truck would be the one that would be
Going away.
Replaced.
replaced.
Pretty good.
So it could possibly go to secondary roads or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, it's something we, somebody else in the county wants it and can get you some use out of it. Or
Yep.
we'll
More-
just take the
more
money that we're willing to get on
conservation
a
deals
trade or
for it.
something.
Yep, that's what we'll do.
Whatever. Anyway, that's not,
You can start looking too, I mean, at what you think you might wanna have.
well,
for
I
vehicle.
probably won't replace it with another truck.
So you can
I'll probably get
have
a-
some recommendation to us on
an SUV or something. The truck was purchased thinking that if I ever had to do those perk tests, I would need the truck
Space.
to lug around the water and all this other stuff. Well, as long as I can continue to find somebody who's willing to do those for me, then I don't have to do them, and therefore the truck really isn't necessary.
Sure.
Very good.
Time of transfer for wells. I think this has been discussed. This has been an ongoing discussion since 2014. I went to the Board of Health. I asked them to approve the language, which I think you have. don't you?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
They did approve that, and I had set an initial deadline of June 1st that I was gonna start implementing that. I sent a letter out to the banks and the realtors and to the attorney's offices and to the auctioneers. Then the question was asked whether or not the process that I had gone through was done properly, and it wasn't, and that's my fault. I didn't do it right. So we're starting over with this. The question is whether or not we want to put it into a county ordinance, which we have an existing environmental health ordinance, number 3, which we could potentially put it in there, and that ordinance probably needs to be revised anyway. There's a real estate inspection for septics in there that's really not even necessary anymore, because now there's a state law requiring it. So there could be some work done on the entire ordinance by taking some stuff out that doesn't need to be there, putting this in. Or I could go back to the Board of Health and follow the proper steps that I didn't follow the first time and go that way. So I wanted to come and ask you, because the supervisors have to approve it either way. If the Board of Health makes it a rule, then I still have to come back here for approval. If I go the ordinance route, then the Board of Health doesn't really
Get
get
involved.
involved. So I'm kind of throwing it out there to see how you wish for me to proceed with it, whether or not you wish to proceed with it at all, I guess, is, if you're not gonna support it, there's no point really in continuing to ask for it.
Have you talked to John at all as far as amending the existing ordinance? Have you had any discussion with him?
I've had a little bit of discussion with him. He prefers the ordinance route.
Mhm.
But as far as getting anything going, this is kind of, we're starting over. So I need to start over with him, I need to start over with you, I need to start over with the Board of Health, and make sure that if we're gonna do this, that I do it right this time.
So let me get the sure plan also to incorporate at time of sale the wells,
Yes.
which is not in there now.
It's not in there now. These rules were taken from Guthrie County, who's been doing this for several years. So I didn't write these myself. They were kind of, I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel. Somebody else is already doing it, and somebody else has already had success with it. But basically, at a time of transfer, when a property is sold, if there's a well on the property, the well needs to be tested. And that's for informational purposes only, just so that the buyers know what kind of water they're getting from their well. with the Grants to Counties program, we test wells for free, so there would be no cost to either the buyer or the seller for a water test, because we're already doing that. If there's abandoned wells on the property, those abandoned wells either need to be plugged, or if they want to be kept, then they need to be put in what they call a standby condition, meaning they're safe for groundwater sake, they're not gonna be public hazards, animal hazards. A lot of those wells are those concrete tile wells, and what they do is they dig them down, and then they put a concrete donut, and then they bring the 6-inch plastic PVC and then backfill. And then it can sit like that, because now you're not gonna contaminate the groundwater, and it's not a safety issue. We also, through Grants to Counties money, we have money to renovate wells. We'll give up to $1,000 to renovate a well. We're giving $500 to plug a well. So again, with those two, there may be a little out-of-pocket cost, but we're giving some money to assist in that process. So what the rule is intended to do is test wells that are in use so buyers know what kind of water they're getting, and get rid of wells that are no longer in use and just need to be eliminated. If they want to be kept and can be renovated, then we'll renovate them instead. So that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish with that.
If we put this into effect, will there be enough money to do it all? I know we've been kind of winding down on well plugging, but will this stimulate financial demand that will you have the resources to?
You mean the Grants to Counties?
Yeah.
As long as the Grants to Counties money is there, then yes. Now, can I guarantee the Grants to Counties money won't go away at some point?
From the global perspective, I would prefer that any of these regulations that involves you comes from your board, actually. They're more closely tied to this, they're more specialized, I would say, rather than us as supervisors. We have a wide gamut of things that we
Right.
need to. So I would prefer that they come
From the Board of Health?
from the Board of Health.
And not do an ordinance, but do a Board of Health rule
Either
instead.
way, but I just think they need to originate from the Board of Health.
And that's basically that's where we're at right now. It originated with the approval of the Board of Health,
Right.
and then, but the sticking point was,
I didn't publicize it in the paper, and it was a
Yeah.
public meeting, but it wasn't, there was some steps for creating rules that I didn't follow. And so, before we get too far into this, I wanna make sure that we can go back, start over, follow the steps. But do we do it as an ordinance, which I come here and not them, or do I start with them and then come here? And
But I think
that's-
what I'm getting from Neil is you want them to start with a proposal.
Yeah.
And bring it to us.
Well, I don't care if it's, I just think any of these things need to originate with them. I don't think we need to originate with this and tell the Board of Health what to do. So I'm thinking, and that's what's happened here.
Yes, they've already,
So I
they've
don't want
already
that, I don't want
approved.
that to get reversed here, even
Yeah.
if it has to, no matter how we end up. Apparently, either way it ends, it's gonna require board approval, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
But I just don't want us to be the initiating any of these. I think they should be the initiators.
But are you saying you want it in the form of an ordinance, you think?
That's the recommendation of our county attorney, and I think we pretty well should follow what our county attorney says.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Well,
You know,
my conversation
Make
with
sure
Courtney,
we follow
I
protocol.
think the
Yeah,
problem with the county attorney is without an ordinance, it's hard to enforce that fine that you got, right?
Well, when I look at the rules, the
But
chapter.
isn't that why you wanted to go to an ordinance more than anything? There's more.
That's why
Well,
he
I
wanted
think
to go
That's
to
why,
it.
there was more, I think, yes, but when I look at these rules, it talks about, here, it does say, I have to find it again. Sorry. Any person who violates any provision of this chapter or the rules of a local Board of Health or any lawful order of the Board of Health, its officers or authorized agents is guilty of a simple misdemeanor A local board of health may impose a civil penalty not to exceed $750 for each violation of this chapter or the rules of the local board of health or any lawful order of the board, its officers, or authorized agents. So according to chapter 37, the board of health does have some authority to enforce their rules if they're written by the board of health.
Well, I agree with Neil. Neil, if John recommended ordinance, I think that's all we ought to have.
Sometimes John comes with us with some policies and he'll have a policy recommendation. Well, that's our call, it's a policy, but when it comes to legality or legal, I think we need to go along with what the county attorney says. And this is more of a legal point.
He said
that
it
he's
had
making.
more, if it was in the form of an ordinance, it had more teeth, and it was easier to enforce.
Okay.
That now, and he wasn't saying to do one way or the other, really.
Yeah,
He just-
recommendation.
Yeah, that's just a recommendation.
If we do an ordinance, so my thought would be to address the whole ordinance, remove what we don't.
The
Just
ordinance number 3, which is.
Attack it all,
Yeah.
instead of
Clean it
just
all up.
going and making amendment to it. Let's clean it all up while we're doing it.
Yeah.
And that would be my thought, only thought about it,
Mhm.
if we're gonna go the ordinance route.
Yeah, because the ordinance does already refer to requirements for properly plugging abandoned wells and non-public water wells. It's got a section on that, but it doesn't include any inspection at a time of transfer. And a lot of it refers back to what the state.
I
codes are
agree with
saying.
you too. Let's clean the whole thing up.
If we're gonna do it, let's do
Right.
it all right.
Okay.
I
And
think-
incorporate that into this.
I think at the time of transfer right now, as far as wells are concerned, you just have to locate the wells.
Mhm.
Isn't that correct? You know, I've seen, you know, in transfers that I've had, that you have to locate where your wells were at.
Yeah.
You have to disclose if
Yeah,
there's
that's-
wells
Disclose if
on
there's
the
wells.
property.
Disclosure
but-
statement.
Property,
Yep.
yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
But a lot of times, and Neil's found this out, that either people don't know they're there, or they don't want to disclose it, and so they say that they're not there, and then people find out later that they are there.
I've had two issues, that one where nobody knew it was there and I found it.
Yeah.
And second one was where it was in the road ditch, and the county, Guthrie County says, gave me, you have to close this up within 30 days. And so I politely responded that it's in your road ditch, and I think it's your responsibility. And they agreed, but then the time limit was off. They were doing it at their convenience, which was, it got properly done and not within the 30 days that I was required to do it, but it all ended up okay. Just different set of rules at that point.
So, I mean, the same thing could happen.
Absolutely.
You know, the same, this doesn't say
Yeah.
that couldn't happen again, just
Yeah.
as it happened to you.
And in Sac County, a piece of property purchased from the DOT, they said there's no wells on it. There were no wells. But that worked out okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's helpful to have the grants to counties money that you could.
Take care of it.
Take care of it,
On-
or a good portion of it.
On the regulations that are written here, there's this one point I'm not sure I'm following very good, or concerns me. It says prior to the time of sale, there's all kinds of things you have to do prior to the time of
Yeah.
sale. And my thought is, there could be an issue where somebody wants to buy an acreage and get it done right now so they can start building, but they're gonna be waiting for all this to happen, even though they agree with doing it.
Mhm.
Is that gonna be an issue with this?
It won't be an issue for me.
No,
I mean.
I'm talking about the buyer of the property, maybe. Maybe somebody wants to buy an acreage, it's got a well situation in it, and.
The buyer wants to keep it.
The buyer and the seller agree what to do with whatever.
Okay.
But they can't complete the sale because all this has to be done prior to sale. So is that gonna be an issue for the buyer and seller?
No, as long as they're willing to work with me,
Okay.
I'll work with them.
I mean, you're not gonna take 2 months to get the well testing done. You know,
No.
you're gonna do it
If
as quickly
it's
as
as simple as
possible.
needing a water test, the seller can do that. I mean, that's, just call me. They may want to close before we get the results back. Is that gonna hold anything up? Absolutely not.
All right. That was my
It's for
concern,
information
Carrie.
only, so we just, it's after the sale, it's just getting the buyer now to comply and get what was done, needed to be done. And as long as they're working with me, I'm working with them.
I just didn't want the situation where somebody's all in a hoot, the buyer and seller agree, but you've finally taking that long dessert vacation or something.
Oh,
or-
I can't guarantee I won't take that long dessert vacation, and it might mess with
And,
somebody.
you know, I just don't want us holding up everything else when they're all playing by the
No,
rules
and
as
this
well.
is also part where we need to rely on the people who are assisting buyers and sellers with the sale to not wait until the last minute. And that happened even with the time transfer with septics. You know, oh, well, now we need a septic inspection, but we wanna close on Friday and it's Tuesday. Like, okay, we'll do the best we can, but, there's some responsibility there on the part of, you know, the representatives for the buyers and the sellers to make sure that this stuff gets done.
So you already have the situation with the septic that
Yeah,
could be the same issue.
yes,
As far as delaying
yeah.
the process.
Yeah, because I did go on vacation one year, and I think you were involved with it somehow, and you were calling me, and I'm in Arizona, and
Yeah.
you're like, we got this sale, we want to close,
I
and,
remember that.
you know, so we worked it out and got it worked out, but.
Well, I hope everybody in the future is cooperative. I mean, I could just see where there'd be a farm parcel sell at an auction with a well on it. They really don't know the time of the auction, what the buyer wants to do. They may want to close the well, they may want to build an acreage hut. And so there's the sale. They've agreed to buy it. It's not closed, but
Can't that be done prior to the auction? The testing? Can be done prior
Sure.
to the auction.
And-
So, I mean, they can,
there's 4 people bidding on this. They don't know if they're going to get a buy.
yeah, but I mean, at the time of the sale, they can say the well has been tested, and this is the condition of the well.
That-
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other
that
thing,
the
you
seller
got
to do.
you got the time of the sale and you got time of possession, there's usually a lag in there. So
Yeah.
that gives you time.
Okay.
This is the condition of the well.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is what I'm sure will be seen is that seller says, I don't wanna do anything, I don't wanna put any money into it, I don't wanna plug the well, and the buyer's saying, well, I wanna keep the well. And so then you've gotta, okay, well, the seller is saying, well, the buyer wants to keep it. Well, that's fine, but the conditions of keeping it are
You have to meet it.
potentially renovating it or testing it, if it can be tested. A lot of them are those wells that are sitting out there, they haven't been used for 50 years, but they want to keep it. Well, okay, then it needs to be renovated. And then renovate it, then, you know, these conditions apply. So then after the sale, it's getting the buyer then to follow through with the agreement to renovate it. And if then they don't want to do that, then, okay, well, then you got to plug it. So I'm not saying there won't be issues, there probably will be, but we'll do our best to get it taken care of and work with people as long as they're working with us.
But I think, the way I read the board, I think our understanding is that we probably want your group to go back and redo the ordinance and incorporate everything you want and then
Okay.
present it to us. Is that right?
I'm good with that.
And then John will look at the way Section 3 reads right now and update those at the same time. So there'll probably be 2 resolutions that, as far as the ordinance is concerned, one to agree to.
No, you just have the ordinance and appeal, or just redo it.
Should be an amended
Amended.
ordinance.
To be amended ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that would take into effect the changes plus the addition.
Addition. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
So
Okay.
you gotta
You'd
have
you'd
John
have to have
involved in that.
probably
and
come
do
to a
that.
reading or two.
Yeah, so you'll have to publicize this.
Well, she
You'll
can
have
let
to-
me know when she's ready, and then I'll we'll set the hearing, and then then we'll have like 2 weeks. Then we'll have the first reading, and then we can decide if we want to have additional readings to it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Gary.
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have is depository resolution. Gene?
Good morning.
Morning, Gene.
Okay, depository resolution, this is just pretty much housekeeping, with Carroll County State Bank changing their name to Avila Bank. We had to clean it up on our resolution here, so, This is just a new one to clean that up. And the Breeders Savings Account has been closed, so we removed that as well. Those are the only two changes in this.
I would make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution naming the depositories. Any further discussion? If not, all those, roll call?
Miners?
Yes.
Rebels?
Yes.
Shetler?
Yes.
Bach?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Motion carries. I state Jane's signature on that.
Okay. Then you have another one right behind it, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
the other one is the tax abatement. I'm requesting tax abatement for property taxes on a parcel that we had listed as Tri-State being the owner. It's for a billboard, and they've contacted the assessor and told the assessor that they were billed in error, that they don't own that billboard. It's $34 a year. These are the type of problems that we run across when we bill, when we tax billboards in Carroll County. Like I said, I think before, there's 2 counties that I'm aware of that bill, or that tax billboards. Most don't, because there's no recourse when they don't pay the taxes. So they're not offered at tax sale or anything. It just creates a lot of work for everyone with the billing process, the collection of taxes, and the abatement when they don't pay. So this is another one of those situations, so I'm requesting abatement on these taxes.
So do we still continue to bill?
If you abate these taxes, we're going to strike this from the tax books, and we're gonna remove this parcel from active parcels in the
But do we
county.
have any more that we're taxing?
There's some more that have not, but yes, we've got other billboards that are taxed, and there's a couple that haven't paid yet, so we may be back in to abate more. So,
So you say you're gonna remove the property then?
this
so that-
the parcel will be stricken from future taxes.
Okay, so what about the parcel itself? Does the billboard stay, or does the billboard go?
That'll be something you'd have to talk to the assessor about, I guess. With that, I don't have any,
Well, I just wonder, I mean, if there's
Yeah.
billboards out there that they're saying they don't own, and then there's all of a sudden there's a
and can they-
sign on it.
And then can they even find the billboard? You know, that was it. With the other ones too,
Yeah.
we didn't even know where the billboards were.
Where, you don't even know where they're at.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this parcel's on the west edge of Carroll, I'm guessing, is where it's at.
Yeah,
Well,
or
and
east.
we never used to tax billboards.
We've never
ever.
taxed billboards before,
And
so.
I'm sure there was a reason for that.
It was revenue, supposedly a way to increase revenue and value from.
Not in Carroll County.
But, yeah.
Well,
There's
there-
another owner of the actual property,
Right,
it's just the
right.
billboard.
The property itself's getting taxed, the
Yeah.
billboard is separate.
Yeah,
Billboard companies basically rent the space from the property owner.
Yeah.
okay, I got you.
Be about like the windmills.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Except we're not
If I had,
taxing those.
if I had my choice, we wouldn't be billing,
Billboards.
taxing the billboards, but
Is Fairway okay in their billboards?
Is-
Fairway, that's a billboard company in town.
I don't know, I'll have to go back and check.
Just curious. All right.
Yeah, that name, I've seen the name, but I'm not sure if they're paid or not. Yeah,
F-A-I-R.
F-A-R-E, isn't it? Or F-A-I-R, you're right, yeah.
And di-
Different from
not
the store,
grocery
yeah.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big city.
Okay, I understand it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. But don't be surprised if I do come back in again and
Yep.
have to abate more.
I'll move to approve this tax abatement resolution.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the tax abatement resolution. Any further discussion? If not, roll call?
Miners?
Yes.
Rebels?
Yes.
Shetler?
Yes.
Bach?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Looks like everybody gets to sign that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Gene, is there a way to see how much there is being taxed on billboards?
Yes, I
I
can
mean,
run a
maybe we
report
gotta take a
probably.
look at, if it's gonna continue to be an issue, this is the second one we done, do away with that portion. I mean, if
And
there's
I was
not
under-
enough revenue.
Do them all in one shot, be done.
Well, just put tax on.
Yeah.
I was under the understanding that we were going to discontinue billing them, but evidently that's not the case, so we'll see what happens.
And these are, I mean, the taxes they're paying were as of 1/1/15. So like the one you abated the last time was made inactive. for 16 and for 17. So we won't have that one in the future. And this will be the same way, but I'm sure there's more than 2 out there, so.
It's kind of nice when somebody owns it, they can put a sign on it, but then when it comes to liabilities, they don't own it. I want to see how that works. No.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it?
Thanks, Gene.
You're welcome, thank you.
Driving a new pickup for that, somebody else pays the goddamn insurance.
Well,
Be a good plan.
they don't own the real estate that it's on at all.
Yeah.
They do own the sign or
And there's no
responsibility for it.
There's no recourse. We can't just go say, okay, you're not paying taxes, we're taking it down.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Okay, next we have on the agenda is some, have a discussion on Fricky building office space.
All right, I'll start that if it's all right with the chair.
Yes.
We went over, took a tour there, and of course, the homemakers are all gonna move over to the east side, and the west portion is gonna all be open, and just had a casual conversation with a provider of human services. It would be a good match who'd like to rent 2 or 3 offices. Basically, ideally, they'd like to have 2 offices and a room to use just to store stuff in. So I had no idea what to tell them that we wanted for a price, and then we have to, so I think if we're interested in doing that, which I'm interested in renting it to someone, that we determine some type of price, and then when we do that, I think we also need to consider whether how we will handle the utilities. Is this gonna be a flat rate, or will they pay utilities, heat, the whole building kinda gets heated together, that type of thing. Snow removal in the winter, we're doing it anyhow, but they would be having advantage of that. Things like that. And so those things, I think we need to determine and get back to this prospect. And then also, I think we should consider whether or not we should list this with a realtor. Previously, we had it listed with a realtor, Lens Real Estate. And then when we decided to move the homemakers in, we did not renew our contract with them. And so we don't have any realtor that's promoting this. If someone would come to town looking for an office, they wouldn't even know that we exist because they couldn't find it anywhere. So that's something we should consider. So what do we offer for a price for 3 offices, basically? One that will be used for storage, but what are the contingencies in this offer if we do an offer today as far as how much they pay? Will it include utilities? They pay separate utilities. And then after we settle that, there's going to be more offices empty there yet. Should we list it with a realtor or advertise in the paper? How do we want to handle getting the word out for future potential renters?
That space is on the Chamber's website.
It's on the Chamber's website?
Yeah, because
Okay.
when we talked about it at the previous
Okay.
board meeting,
Right.
she called and wanted to know if it was still available, and I said yes.
Okay.
So they left it on
So,
there.
good.
So it is at least there.
We
At
have
least
some, we
one
have
place,
a
yeah.
little bit of exposure anyway. Okay.
You say they want 2 and 1 for storage.
They want 3 offices.
So there'd be 3 left.
3.
Left.
Well, there's 6 there total, and
Is that right? We got 5 there total.
I should know and I can't tell you.
There's 6 there total. There's
I
3 in
don't-
the hallway and then 3 in the back.
I thought 6, but
I think there's 6.
so about half of it's gonna be taken.
Yes. Apparently, the place where they are now has a lot of steps, which is not working out very well for them. And they like the idea that the north entrance is, step-free as an option.
What do we charge for utilities now to the existing agencies that are in there?
Do that.
Prorate that
Basically
out by
prorate
square
it,
foot,
yeah.
by the square foot, so much a
I
square
would
foot.
prefer a flat rate, because
Okay.
doing it by percentages is kind of a bookkeeping headache.
Okay,
VA, the VA, general assistance, case management, mental health, they're all a percentage. Well, the case management left, So then the argument is, well, we're not gonna up our percentages, even though they're moving offices.
Well, that's true.
So I would prefer a flat rate, but, I mean, you guys can do what you want.
It wouldn't be that hard to go off of the percentages to come up with a flat rate.
Yeah.
No, it'd be whatever you guys decided on, but.
It'd
Yeah.
be the same for the snow removal and whatever else anyway, just build it right into their monthly rate and that's all included.
My concern is if it's an outside entity, are they gonna pay that bill? Because right now, you know, we split it out, the county pays it. But if we have an outside entity that needs to pay a portion, are they gonna pay their portion?
Yeah.
So to me, a flat rate or at least even a percentage and then tell them what it is gonna be per month. So then the county's paying the bill, so we know our vendor's getting paid, but yet we're getting
Compensated for it.
compensated for it, yeah.
I think I would rather go with just a flat rate, and then if we see a lot of rate increases and a lot of snow removal increases, then we
Bring it
can,
up.
at the end of a contract period of a year or two, three, whatever we decide to sign, we can always bump it up accordingly.
For you, Courtney, it'd probably be easier just to build it into the rent and just be done, one payment. and we
One
pay it.
payment, you don't have to
I
do
would
that.
prefer that.
Yeah,
Bookkeeping.
and that, I was thinking about if you're gonna have a per square foot rate rental, you know, and if you included that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, for the next person, if you're
Yeah,
gonna use
for the next three offices.
Yeah, right.
So we know
So
wherever we
you-
established, it's easy to figure out.
Yeah, and include it all in the rent, I think that would be the easy way to
I
do
mean,
it for
it's
everybody.
easy, if you, like at Mallard View, we could charge them just rent, and they paid their own bills, because they were the only people in the building. Well, this one, we have people upstairs, we have people, you know, we just, at least with DHS, we can share vendors, because we pay DHS's bills for their utilities, even though they may be paying a percentage, it's still on a county check, or if it was an outside person, how do you handle that? You know, you don't really want them to have to worry about them sending a check in and then the vendor getting it applied to the right account, that kind of stuff.
How are you doing with DHS right now?
Well, the county pays DHS's utilities anyway through their DHS budget,
Okay.
but they do pay a
We have
percentage.
to provide a space and utilities.
Well, I think, I totally agree. I like the idea suggested to do it on perhaps a square foot flat rate, clean and dry. And then if we have another entity come along that wants one or two offices and they're compatible agency or business, just tell them what the flat rate is and be able to move on.
Do anybody know what the going rate is per square foot for office rental here right now?
There's quite a range.
Is it's all over
And
there?
I haven't checked lately, but it was anywhere from $7 to $14 per square foot with utilities included, if I remember right. Maybe you guys know, if anybody else have I'm not in that, I'm not that in that end of it.
No idea.
But then, that range you're talking about, that sounds what I remember at that time.
Well, I think we want somebody in there, so I don't know that we have to be at the top of that range either, I mean.
I'd be,
Yeah.
well, approach the midway in that
Yeah.
range would be, I'd be pretty palatable to me. 11.
Were we looking at like $1,200 when we were looking at the whole space? I was trying to find that contract we heard.
Do you know how much square
contract we
feet that
have.
would be, Neil, that they were talking about?
No, I don't.
Because you don't know exactly probably what offices they want.
No, I do not. And they were over there and just looked around one day, a long time ago. Of course, the homemakers are,
Hadn't decided
I don't
yet.
know if that, I think that was after the homemakers had moved in that they looked at
Let's see if I can find that thing that has this.
Well,
Did they need
But
a
then we don't-
reception area or
Well-
waiting, or a waiting room or anything like that?
That's another thing we need to determine, you know, if you're gonna rep on square footage, you just measure square feet in the office and they get the hallway for free, or how do you determine that?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what
Because
they
there's kind
want.
of a common area, I suppose that would be the term of the hallway and the
I
steps
think
and all that.
I think you gotta figure that in with the rent of the
Yeah.
office. That's a commons area, I don't think you can.
Yeah, the hallway, I think, is common to everybody, because
Yeah.
even if you get somebody else who wants
That
the
does-
other three.
That
then
does bring up a better point, though, but if you would like a reception area, whether it's a different structure and desk and thing built there that's pre-done,
Well,
should
and I
that be
think-
more expensive than just a plain old square box office?
And Neil, what I was gonna say is that we don't want them having an office here, an office over here, an office there.
Be a cluster.
Then we
They gotta
have
be,
no option.
they gotta be together.
They gotta be together.
Yeah, and I'm thinking if this
Connecting.
agency's looking 3 offices, I'd either behind the door or in the hallway, one or the other.
That's what made some
Connecting
back
offices.
then.
But, you know,
Preferable.
when homemakers moved there, you know,
Okay.
they moved into that reception area.
That's
From-
just
from the
some
steps.
additional information.
Here's
Front
some
steps
answers.
down.
Courtney found some answers for us, and according to the letter that my friend Marty Danzer signed, it's 1,495 square feet, 8 individual offices, 1 restroom, a reception area, 2 adjacent community restrooms, off-street parking with ADA entrance door. Utilities will be prorated. This is billed quarterly to the tenant. Snow removal is included. We are flexible in negotiating list. We prefer at least a 60-month lease, which is 5 years, at $10 per square foot, $14.95 per month. Floor plan is attached.
And that $10 square foot was probably just rent, or was that everything?
I think that was just rent.
That was to rent.
Utilities would be prorated.
Yeah.
And,
It's a common heating and cooling system for the bottom floor and top floor.
That's actually set up in zones.
Okay, that was my next
Zones,
question,
yeah.
so you can kind of
Climate
control
control
a little
set.
bit yourself
Yeah.
if you don't want it.
Yeah.
At 68, you can have it 72 or.
Yeah, just climate control, did that when we remodeled that, it's set up in zones.
She's got the bids that 3 realtors gave us to handle the transaction and try to rent it out.
What's the price to how many square feet were there involved?
Almost 1,500 for 8 individual offices, 1 restroom. A reception area, 2 adjacent community restrooms. And I think there's also a break room in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, if they would want that, I mean, that would
It's
have to be
right next to the
included.
bathroom.
Well, what, I'd suggest let's just set a square foot rate and go from there. And see where,
That's
you're
helpful.
gonna take it back to them, Neil, or?
Yeah, I could take it back to them.
And we could do the square foot and say we could bill them quarterly for the utilities too. I mean, that wouldn't be that big a deal, but it would be easier to set a flat rate and
Just put
try
it
to
into the
estimate.
rent.
Because we can look and see what the utilities are for that space right now, because we separated out already.
See what it runs a month and kind of.
I propose that we just go ahead with what we had before. $10 square foot, utilities prorated, which is a little more complicated, and that type of thing. But the only question I have is, I think this $14.95, that includes the hallways and everything, doesn't it?
I would guess so.
It doesn't break it down by the office.
And you know what, Neil, that's probably a good way of doing it, because we're not sure how much area they're gonna, so it's kinda hard putting a square footage, but you know, the utilities with it.
Yeah.
I think maybe we could bet just prorate it for now.
Well, we can do utilities.
Let's say bill them quarterly.
If they take 3 offices, we can figure out how many square feet those offices are.
Mhm.
And then whatever that is off the 14.95, that'd be the percentage that they pay.
Percentage it off of there?
Yeah.
Sure, okay. All right.
All right, anything else on that?
No, that's fine. If that's okay with the board, I'll get back to them
Agreeable.
and just tell them, read this, and we'll
If they-
prorate that all down.
If they run a reception area, then that reception area and waiting space, that's all included.
I was thinking
Um,
that.
If they want the break room, that's included.
What are counting the reception?
Yeah.
As far as the square footage is concerned.
Floors too, I don't know if they're counted because of the.
Okay. I'll follow up and get back to you if they're interested. We'll get back to you. And then I would say in the near future, maybe we should get this listed with a realtor as well, but maybe we don't want to do that today, I'm not sure.
Yeah, see how this thing goes. And
Okay.
And you know what, maybe if we got it with, on that site there, do we wanna do a realtor? 'Cause that's gonna cost us a lot more money too.
Yeah.
I'd say if these people aren't interested, you probably wanna maybe. put it as
Consider a realtor. If
The,
not, then we're only sitting on half of what we had.
The chamber site hasn't been getting us any,
Yeah.
this,
So-
got this from a personal contact.
Yeah.
I happen to know the lady in that agency. We're in the Coalition of Human Services. I mentioned it, that we've got office space. I didn't mention her personally. I mentioned it to the group.
And then she got
Because
back
I
to
thought
you.
everybody at that group would be interested if they
Well,
needed it.
Possibly.
And I think that's the way it's gonna be on this, is gonna be by word of mouth. 'cause-
And then-
And we're gonna be pretty
Realtors-
selective on the agencies that we allow in there. We're
Yeah.
not just gonna.
And as a
We
member.
didn't get any action out of the realtors neither.
Yeah.
No, we had a looker or two, but we didn't have
I
a
mean,
taker.
Yeah.
I
And it-
know someone that looked but didn't want to pay that much.
It depends upon what they actually take too. If they take the reception area and if they take the break room and 3 offices or 2 offices, you know, then that doesn't leave much left, really. I mean,
No.
it leaves a couple of rooms,
Yeah.
you know.
A
Yeah, let's
box.
see how we
Yeah,
can-
a couple boxes. Yeah.
Okay,
All right, good enough?
I'm going to make a copy of this.
Fine.
Had enough discussion on that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, then we'll go to new management. We have a bunch of them here, New Fashion Port, 916 South, or, wait, I'm just gonna read them off here. New Fashion Port, Farm 916, Iowa File 1, Section 31 of Cedar Township Green. These are, all have made change for crop rotation and are using mirror analysis for application. I'm just gonna state that there.
They're all the same?
They're all the same.
Okay.
The New Fashion Port, Farm 319, Elite Nursery 319, Section 1 of Glidden Township. New Fashion Port, Farm 318, Elite Nursery 318, Section 31 of Cedar Township, Greene County. New Fashion Port, Farm 302, Elite Finisher 302, Section 30 of Cedar Township, Greene County. New Fashion Port, Farm 306, Elite Finisher 306, Section 13 of Union Township. New Fashion Port, Farm 320, Elite Nursery 320, Section 25 of Pleasant Valley Township. New Fashion Port, Farm 305, Elite Finisher 305, Section 5, in East Township. New Fashion Port, Farm 301, Elite Finisher 301, Section 34 of Grant Township. New Fashion Port, Farm 917, Iowa Sow 2, Section 26 of Wheatland Township. New Fashion Port, Farm 304, Elite Finisher 304, Section 6 of Union Township. And I'm gonna double check what I said was right, and I'm pretty sure that's right.
I did that, that's how I found out that we had to have one on the agenda.
I'll take that back.
Some added acres and.
Section 320 added, Farm 320 added acres, and also Farm 305 added acres. So I was wrong.
301 added acres.
Oh, I went through them on the count, but I did that, so we had it.
917 added acres.
Yeah, 917 added acres.
All right, then, we have Wednesday, this inspection, and I think we've talked about who's gonna try to make that. Has Carl made a map for us on that, do you know? With the wells and stuff like he does in the past?
He was gone a couple days last week. I can certainly check with him, but I thought there were maps in there.
There are maps in there, about the 3rd page.
Oh, with all the wells and stuff in it?
Yes.
Doesn't the DNR do that?
Yeah.
Here it is. There's the map, it's already there.
It does have the wells on
It's got residences.
it? It's just residents.
I can certainly have him print off one and I'll just put it with that. So
Okay.
whoever
Yeah,
wants to
just
take
with the
that.
wells.
Yeah, that's all it is, the residences.
Yeah.
Do we have a master matrix points thing that we need to fill out?
There
That's
might
in
be
back.
one at the back of
Is it
that.
in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's already been filled out?
Well,
It needs your guys'
we need to fill it out
scores.
there.
Yeah.
At
I mean,
the
you're
site.
welcome to take that book with you if you want.
No, there's another map in the back here, isn't
Now, those are all over the farms in the north.
there? Okay, and that's the site.
Here's the master.
I just want to make sure that we can fill out the points that we need to fill out for the master matrix correctly. If that's in there, we're in good shape.
Any other questions?
Doesn't isn't Dave Whittree usually there on these?
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is right
Yeah,
here.
it's in there.
Got it?
And
Great.
then he's got it basically filled out already.
Yeah, he's
We
got
just
to
have
fill
to
out
go through and
just
review
with
it.
Yeah, by the time we
And I
get
can't
there.
remember, I forwarded you that email, who was gonna be doing it, and I
Or
can't
you can
remember
take
his
it.
name, but.
Okay,
Yeah, it
because
might,
I can
a
do
lot
it,
of
but
times
I-
the person
if I can leave
that's
it from there, but
spearheading the plan will be there
just
as
don't
well.
want
Yeah.
to take it back from me.
I will bring that along.
Okay.
So we will have it, that way you know
Okay.
who's bringing it.
Okay.
Or you
All
can
right.
be there.
Why don't you hand me that right
Am I
now?
gonna be there?
No, you won't.
I know, I
You're
says,
in Lake City.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right, it's at 10
Well,
o'clock.
I think
Yeah.
we'll-
Yeah, but same time.
Carl,
Yeah.
need that address for that?
When I give me that, I'll just write it down.
You know, at some point,
Wait, he knows. And I'll just email them, have him email them
Importance
out
of going is
to
not
you
gonna
guys. Or, I mean, you
Simply
can print it
because of
out,
the fact that
somebody
it's
can
not
pick
gonna
it up.
pertain to anything that we
Email
have
would be great.
I went up
involved
to
in.
Denver Lake City once, sometime you and I.
Yeah,
should
we
go,
just have a
and then
copy
sometime
out
you and
there
I should
for
go
on the
down
farm,
there,
that's all.
skip that one, just down there.
So do you just
And
want
that
the
way
wells
they
in
know
this
who those people are.
whole section, or in this quarter, or in this quarter?
We don't have a program going.
We don't have a
What do
dog
you
in the
nor-
fight.
what do you
I don't
normally
need to
look
be
at?
there.
Yeah.
Usually he puts them in the whole section.
Whole
Yeah.
section,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that doesn't
Well,
mean.
and
that
the radius is
it's good to
They're
be-
not important,
Yeah,
it's just.
it's good to be involved.
And if he'll
It's
be
good to be around.
Yeah.
too, so.
Yeah.
He's done it
Money
before.
becomes available.
Okay.
Something we can't use money for.
Rich, committee reports, you want to start?
Sure, I sure can. Tuesday, Marty and I and Dave went down and looked at Drain 18 down around Coon Rapids. We had a blowout in a tile, and it's been a kind of a common thing in this one. But I think we got some long-term solutions possibly working on this deal, so. And that was good. I really enjoyed that experience. Then on Tuesday in the evening, I had an ambulance meeting, and the discussion on new hiring was kind of the topic. They're having a little issues getting people hired. They maybe have a part-time, but they don't have a full-time or the other part-time. They're running into some stiff competition, it looks like, from Crawford County. Crawford County right now is offering to pay for the paramedic part of it, which is about a $10,000 deal by the time you get through your paramedic. They're offering to pay that, but they're making them sign a contract with guaranteed time, anywhere from 3 to 5 years, that they have to stay with them that long in order to recoup that. So though that proposal may be coming to us, they're gonna kick that around the block a little bit down there and see if that's something they really think they have to do or need to do. That's kind of a big issue. And I can see how it can be with competition like that. And it's hard, the applicants are not there, so getting them there in, you may have $10,000 where a EMT, it might be $1,000, and the ambulance group right now is funding that through the fundraisers they have and things like that. So it's getting to be an issue. And Thursday, went to the legislative forum. It was basically an update. Everything that happened this year and things that, kind of a little bit of what they're headed to next year, and nothing really cut and dried other than they made one I kind of thought was very much needed simply for the law enforcement people was they're going to attack the texting bill maybe again and try to refine that a little bit more. And I don't know if they'll get anywhere with it, but that certainly was kind of high on their thought process. Then I was stopped by the office one day here, and I talked to Jean, and she had a question for me, and I did not know the answer. So I stopped and I visited with Mid-Iowa. When we have people out and about doing test drives for driver's license, are we covered with liability? Or this is the employee, I know through workman's comp, where is our insurance needs at during this process? And as we went through this process, I don't know if it's something that's kind of been missed. But anyway, I stopped to see Terry. He was not in. they were going to get him a message off, and he was gonna contact either Courtney or Jean, and I did not ask Jean this morning if she had heard back from him yet. He
I
was
did.
Did you? And are we covered, and
Yes.
there's no needed to do
There's
anything?
no added cost.
Good.
It's just part of our overall.
Blanket. Okay, that was just a kind of a concern. I did not know that answer. Well, we need to check on. I didn't know if something to slip through the cracks
There
on this.
might be changes to it if we would start to offer CDLs, or when they start doing motorcycle.
Motorcycle.
But he said just to keep him in the loop of what we're doing, and he can make sure that we're
Okay.
covered. But right now,
Okay.
we're fine. We're already covered. He said the only thing we might see a change in is work comp. We pay certain rates, and if we have an employee that's doing mostly drives or mostly motor
Okay.
vehicle stuff, that rate's higher than, say, office person.
Okay. I just didn't want
Their rate
something.
is on where they spent the majority of their time.
Yeah.
I just didn't want something to slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
That we've been.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Check up
something
on.
easily overlooked.
Yep.
I never thought of that either.
Yeah, other than that, looks like Wednesday, today I have daycare tonight, and then Wednesday I'll be going out to AE Pork, and then I'm gonna be going out of town for 4 or 5 days, so.
What did
You
you
guys
say
are-
you were doing Wednesday?
Going to AE Pork
Site review.
Oh,
to the site review.
okay.
You'll be back Monday.
I'll be back Monday, late Sunday night.
Okay, Dean?
Okay, I had the Conservation Board meeting on Monday night. There was more discussion about the disc golf, primarily with Ben Gradeville, as far as they were setting up how they're gonna lay out the course and how they're going to designate each hole and signage that they were gonna put up per hole, and they thought they were gonna cover that with donations. So that was probably the big thing on the disc golf. Great Western Park has received a $20,000 estate donation from Alice Stevens, and they're going to make improvements to the bathroom and showers down there for the campgrounds. So that was a nice deal. Plus, I think they're putting air in that as well, so that'll also cover that. Cabin project update. The walls are up, and they thought that last week they would get the basement floor poured, and I think they were gonna wait to pour the pad for the garage until they actually had the house moved. So the next big step is get the house moved. Swan Lake water monitoring, I think I mentioned the last time that the DNR, they have aerators out there for the winter time, and they were gonna use Swan Lake as a project site to see, since they had the fish kill here a couple times, that if they kept those aerators going, if that would help balance out the oxygen in the lake. So it's going to be 2 weeks, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and they would pay the extra expense, the DNR would. And then we'll also get some good data back. Maple River Trailhead project. It sounds like the old fence that's there is going to go down Memorial Day weekend. So it should be all cleaned up after that. And then they're going to see what kind of room they have and see what they can do. So there'll probably be some proposals on what that trailhead project will be about. There's also been trees donated for about 50 trees donated for along the trail that will be put in. There was some questions on the payables, last payables, and one of them was to Seidel Electric for the campground reset. It was to reset a pedestal that got damaged. So that was that $45. Dan Hyman for the food plot for $470. he went out to the auction and bought a cultivator for their fruit plot. And so, probably should have been a little bit more specific on what actually.
Well, and that could be what they wrote on the claim too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
sometimes it's hard to tell, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, so that was a good explanation of that, I think. Anything else? Is there any questions on that?
Good report.
Let's see, we had, basically, last week I had then the Burita project, going through that thing, and then there's also a ditch, I pointed out a ditch to Dave that I got a call from Virgil Earlbeck about a ditch that needs to be cleaned right by his house. And I think there might be more discussion about that as far as how we're gonna try to move that water that comes down the Maple River Hill and where that's gonna go. There's some real problems there. So, I think that was my week. This week I've got Board of Health on tomorrow night, and I'll go to WMA meeting on Wednesday.
Yep, all right, well, Wednesday had a safety committee meeting. One thing we go over was our accident investigation report, and again, it was very brief and very small. Nothing real serious. Mechanic dropped a wrench and chipped a tooth. The ambulance tripped on it's kind of a sideboard that's there for help them step down that they slipped on. So the protective device hurt them there. Somebody hit their shin on a hoist, and someone, a jailer, I believe, had an issue with some steps. Hardly anything would be pretty difficult to prevent, so we're very fortunate. But we investigate everything, and glad that there's not any serious accidents. There's also some more grant money available. It's like $1,000 per entity, and I know here in the courthouse, we did that to update our panic buttons. So we got another.
ICAP?
Yeah, through ICAP. So we're looking if any entity has any ideas for safety or insurance stuff. Let me or let Zach or Courtney or somebody know, and we'll look at it. And that was about it. I know they had some ladders here that they had to get rid of because they were like household ladders, and you need to have an industrial ladder in a place like this for employees to climb up and down. And that was a safety issue that got taken care of. And we schedule our next meeting for August 9th. And then Thursday, along with Gene and Rich, I attended the legislative forum. And Rich covered it very well. One thing I did make a special point of doing, we lobbied or badgered, however you want to call it, our legislatures to get some changes done on mental health, on equity in paying the per capita, and they have accomplished that. So I made a special point of individually thanking each of them for their changes in the mental health law in that respect, because I appreciate that. And the rest of it, Rich covered very well. This week, I also had one ditch cleaning complaint that I looked at, which I've given to Dave. Wednesday, go to A Pork. Also on Wednesday, have a Coalition of Human Services meeting and a local planning group meeting. So that'll be this week.
Before we jump on, safety issues.
Yes.
The front driveway, and I've noticed it, and I think a lot of people, seems to be a bypass for the stoplights. Is there any way that we can maybe consider an alternative driveway, a obstruction, speed bump, something to kind of deter some of that?
That was
issue?
brought up, not at this meeting, but at a previous meeting. They were considering maybe putting a speed bump there, and at that time, that was when they were doing the light study, and some of these lights were out, and we decided to just kind of hold off and see what happens while they turn the lights back on. And every suggestion you mentioned, the speed bump, the stop sign, those are all
Yeah.
brought up. I know the gal that brought it up, you know, somebody basically was racing through the courthouse parking lot.
And maybe it's something that if we do a remodel for our jail situation, and who knows where that will lead us. Maybe at that time, we can maybe revisit the parking areas and those kind of things. We may have to change some of that. We might. I don't know where that's all gonna lead us, but
Yeah.
maybe it'd just be a good time to sit back and keep that in mind.
I can't find any of my notes on that. It did get discussed, and I think the main idea that was brought up was at Swan Lake in the campgrounds, they got the speed bumps. They're just staked down to put them up in the summertime, but pull them up in the wintertime so they don't cause issues,
Snow
snow removal.
That's what I was gonna say, with payloader and secondary roads, speed bumps would be an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave said if we did do that, he'd prefer the removable
Removable
ones.
ones.
Yeah, so I think that was the preferred solution that we came up was the removable speed bumps.
And I really thought about
And they'd be
maybe
seasonal.
removing like the east driveway and pushing it down, halfway down, so if you do, you still can drive through, but you have to come through and then do this number.
Oh, I see.
It's
Have
there,
an
it's
entrance.
there.
Yeah, have an entrance to the parking lot, but not necessarily where
And
it
have
is
it a little
today.
further to the north. If you can still do it, but you,
Yeah, well, that's not a bad idea
I
either.
mean, but that's more than $1,000 fix.
Yeah.
You could close one side of it too, and then it wouldn't be through.
Yes.
Just completely close it.
Then
That's
that's an
correct.
issue for people who work here. They maybe come from one direction, leave the
Yeah.
other, and there.
Yeah.
It is, but when you almost get ran over out there, you.
Yeah, I've-
you,
couple times it's
You
like,
tend
holy
to think
smokes.
about ways to, because people
Yeah.
do, especially in the mornings when, you know, everybody's
In a hurry?
trying to get to work.
Yeah.
It can get dangerous out
Yeah.
there. It really can. You gotta be careful.
Anyway, just a.
Good discussion.
Yeah, good comment.
I'll bring it up at the next safety meeting.
Anything else, Neil?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Marty?
Okay, last Monday evening had Wesco board meeting. It was our annual board meeting where we elected officers. I was voted in as, for my second year as president, Mike Dom as vice president, and secretary treasurer, it'll remain the same with Donna Lyons. We had board member terms for 2 members that we sit on the board, and it's, after 3, or you can be on for 6 years, and then you have to go off each for a year. We had one board member that was on for the 6 years, she's going off. Had another member, or 2 of them were reelected. Pam Sosman from Denison came on the board, and then Rick was a new board member for the Hudson County Supervisors. Board committees, we had, hey, you got a question there?
Yeah, do you make that requirement also for the elected officials?
Well, the elected officials, basically, we serve 2 years, and then we go off, is the way it's for the board officers.
Oh, for board officers?
Yeah, yeah.
But for board members,
Board members, it's 6 years you can be on, and then you have to go off at least a year.
even the elected ones?
Yeah, yeah.
So now, we don't do that in new opportunities. We go elected because they're appointed by us.
Yeah, yeah.
So we just, any non-elected ones, our terms expires.
That's, okay, that's the way this is too, with the
Okay.
non-elected. Yeah, the elected for the board.
So the elected, if they keep getting
Yeah.
appointed by their
Yeah,
board,
they
they
can
stay
continue.
on.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
that's what I'm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, if they're elected by, the supervisors still stay on, if you're, remain supervisor. Board committees, we kind of went through, kept everything the same there. We have the financial committee, the insurance committee, and different committees, everything stayed the same there. Board self-evaluation, they're gonna email that out this next month, and we have to formulate or evaluate that and put all the evaluations together, and I will be in the process of putting that together for next meeting. Then on Tuesday, had a landfill board meeting. First item of discussion there was the employee wages and benefits for 17 and 18. Back in the January meeting, it was approved to do a 4% salary increase for all the employees. So that was done and voted on back in January already, but the board officially approved it. We had discussion and decision on the replacement for the sorting line belt. The belt that we have on there's been on there since 1998. It's about $8,700 to replace that belt. It's basically where they sort the paper and the cardboard and everything off. They're gonna shut the line down for a day here in the next couple of weeks and replace that belt, the one we've had, it's shot. Discussion and decision on recycling feasibility study. We're working with DNR on that feasibility study. What they're talking about is going to single stream recycling. A lot of your bigger cities are doing that, and we want to weigh out the labor issue of basically sorting. When it's single stream, you got a lot more labor. So we're in the process of doing a feasibility study there. We had a grant application for the hook lift trucks and the boxes for $24,995. That money we'll be getting from DNR, so that's in the process. The other thing, Mary was appointed to the National Board for Recycling and Waste, and she will have a meeting in September and in June she'll have a meeting, and that's going to be in Boston, so she'll be going to that. So it's kind of they select people from each of the regions in the state of Iowa from ISASWA, and she was appointed to that. And then
That's a good
as
appointment.
Yeah, sort of a feather in her hat.
I told her that.
Yeah, so we congratulate her on that also. And then on Tuesday, also had Drain 18 with Rich, went down by Coon Rapids with Rich and Dave and looked at that tile. And it's gonna be a pretty easy fix there, so I think that will take care of the problem. This week, I've got Wednesday is A&E site review on Wednesday, and then Thursday I got Region 12 board meeting. So that's it for this week.
Okay, last week, CADC had their new meeting. And basically, at that meeting, we just went through the new website. They went through it all together to see if there's any board members, any discussion on that, and with the updates. And then on Thursday, I was to legislative forum. Neil said there's nothing more to be added on there. This week, I've got the A&E portion where I get on my desk at the time, and then I've got ES Center on Friday, so. Courtney, anything for you?
I got a hold of Clark at Wellmark. He will be here Friday at 10 o'clock to discuss the high deductible plan. And basically, the way he said is he's adding it to our options. So if any employee wants to take it, they can take it. Doesn't cost the county any more to have that additional plan available. And if nobody takes it, it's still there, but nobody took it, so.
And it'll,
How long is he gonna be here?
He thought around an hour,
I won't be here.
so, I gave Rich his information. If any of you wanna call him, I'm sure he'd be willing to explain it, cause, I don't know enough about it to be able to answer the questions for people, so hopefully if anybody's interested, they'll show up for that. And that went out in payroll, so. And Rick Hunsicker's gonna be here next week at 9:30. They have some additional CDBG grants available. And probably really slow, I don't think I printed off his email, but anyway, he needs to come in and he's meeting with all the counties in the area, but he wanted to come in and explain. I don't know if they're looking at additional match money or what, but he's gonna come in and
I think
explain
so.
it.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, but.
We told him he was not welcome.
I'll tell him that Thursday.
That's all we have going on.
tell him, might as well forget about coming.
Oh, and Courtney?
Yes.
The property did sell, because we do have a check.
Oh, yes. We
So
did get
that
a
would be-
check from sellers. It's
Good.
Then,
Boston last week.
we should
so.
contact our insurance company,
Take that off.
because we pay $6,000 a year to insure that baby.
You start-
I will email them today and
Yeah.
tell them what date it was.
Officially, we're closed on it, and
Yeah.
it'll be done.
Great. And utilities are all been shifted over?
Yeah, that got handled when the check came in as well. And the
Good.
elevator and things
Thanks,
like
Courtney.
that. So I'll email them in
Perfect.
Iowa and let them
Clearing
know
my property.
when we closed on
Yeah.
that, so they can make sure they have the right date.
So that's one off the plate. Any comments from those in attendance? There's nothing else, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. All those in